The sun rose over a small, seemingly ordinary town. Quiet, calm, untouched by the heavy weight of human sorrow. Yet hidden within that stillness was a storm waiting to break. It was a warm Saturday morning. White roses decorated the grand hotel steps, and a polished black limousine stood ready outside. Everything looked perfect. But behind this elegant setting was an event no guest, no bride, and no groom could have imagined. Weddings are usually a celebration of love, family, and new beginnings. But this one carried the bitter scent of pride, cruelty, and humiliation. The groom's invitation wasn't sent out of kindness, but out of malice. He wanted his ex-wife, the woman who had once given him everything, only to be abandoned with nothing, to attend. He wanted her to see what he called his real happily ever after. His plan was simple: to make her feel small, forgotten, and unworthy. But what he never foresaw was her arrival. Not broken, not in tears, not weak. Instead, she appeared stronger than ever, stepping gracefully from a limousine, hand in hand with 3 little girls, the daughters he had abandoned. Their bright smiles, confidence, and beauty silenced the crowd in awe. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in life turning cruelty upside down, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Don't forget to comment. We love hearing your reflections on these powerful stories. Emma's story begins here. She was a gentle soul with a hardworking spirit, often overlooked in a world that praised only wealth and status. Against her family's advice, she fell in love with Daniel when they were young. She gave him her heart, her time, even her savings, to build a future together. Daniel came from money, but he wanted more. For years, Emma supported his ambitions. She worked long shifts as a waitress, cleaned at night, even skipped meals so he could focus on his career. She believed in him more than she believed in herself. But when success finally came, Daniel changed. Love was replaced by greed, and instead of cherishing Emma's sacrifice, he began to see her as a burden, a shadow of his struggles. The marriage grew cold. One day, without warning, he filed for divorce, leaving her with almost nothing but an old car and a small apartment she could barely afford. Heartbroken, Emma soon discovered she was pregnant. Not with 1 child, but with 3. Fear nearly crushed her. How could she raise triplets alone, with no money and no partner? Yet, something inside shifted. She realized she had not been destroyed, only challenged. Her children would become her reason to fight harder than ever. Years passed in struggle, days filled with 2 jobs, nights with sleepless cries of 3 babies in her arms. Exhausted but unyielding, Emma pressed forward. Meanwhile, Daniel climbed higher in wealth and social prestige, never once asking about Emma or the children. To his friends, he painted himself as the victim, free from the woman who had held him back. When Daniel met Sophia, a woman from a wealthy family, his pride soared. To him, she was proof of his upgrade. When the wedding approached, he sent Emma an invitation, not as an act of grace, but as an insult. He imagined her showing up in worn clothes, watching from the sidelines while he married, real worth. He wanted her humiliation complete. But Emma had quietly built her own life. She raised her daughters with love, discipline, and confidence. She found work in a small design studio, her creativity eventually earning her success. Years later, she owned her own boutique, respected in the town, not because she flaunted wealth, but because she had risen above her past. Her daughters, now 6 years old, were bright, beautiful, and her proudest achievement. When the invitation came, Emma almost threw it away. But then she remembered the whispers, the humiliation, the way Daniel had abandoned her. This was not about revenge. It was about dignity. She wanted her daughters to see that no one could ever define their worth. So, with quiet resolve, she chose to attend. The morning of the wedding was radiant. Guests arrived in sleek cars, dressed in glittering gowns and sharp suits. Daniel, in his white tuxedo, basked in admiration. Sophia glowed in her fitted dress, smiling for the flashing cameras. Everything was unfolding perfectly. Until the sound of another limousine turned every head. The chauffeur opened the door. Out stepped 3 little girls in matching yellow dresses, holding hands, their curls bouncing with each step. Behind them came Emma, in a deep green gown, radiant, calm, and strong. Gasps filled the air. Daniel's smirk disappeared. Sophia's smile froze, and Emma, holding her daughter's hands, walked forward with such grace that the crowd focused on her more than the bride herself. Daniel's face drained of color. Guilt flickered in his eyes, but his pride would not let him bend. "Why is she here?" he whispered. Yet the answer was plain. Emma was no longer the broken woman he once knew. She was a mother, a fighter, a survivor, stronger than he could ever be. The guests who had believed Daniel's lies saw the truth now. They saw her daughter's admiration, her dignity, her quiet strength. Sophia shifted uncomfortably, realizing that in comparison, no wealth or diamonds could outshine Emma's resilience. The ceremony continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. Whispers followed Emma everywhere. Some guests quietly congratulated her. Others, through guilty eyes, apologized for ever believing Daniel. The triplets laughed innocently, softening hearts all around. Emma smiled. She had nothing left to prove. Daniel's attempt at humiliation had backfired. His emptiness stood exposed. Emma's presence wasn't about revenge. It was about testimony. She had survived, rebuilt, and transformed. By night's end, what people remembered most wasn't Sophia's gown, the flowers, or the vows. It was Emma stepping from that limousine with her daughters, head held high, radiant in her strength. Photos captured Daniel's shock, the crowd's awe, and Emma's quiet triumph. Days later, whispers spread across town. Daniel's arrogance was exposed. Emma's boutique flourished further, not just for her designs but for the story of the woman behind them. She became an inspiration. Proof that the best revenge is living well, with dignity, without ever needing to speak a word. The woman once abandoned and humiliated was now respected and admired more than ever. Not for wealth, not for revenge, but for surviving fire and emerging brighter. Her daughters grew up knowing their mother's worth, not their father's cruelty. And Emma herself finally found peace. Pain had shaped her, but not defined her. And she knew, in the end, that love, not money, was the true measure of success. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more stories of resilience, compassion, and strength. And tell us in the comments, what would you have done in Emma's place? Your thoughts might inspire someone walking the same path.